Welcome to What is Jewish Music, a podcast where we interview prominent figures in the different Jewish music circles. As a founding member of the Lev Tahor music group and a solo artist with multiple albums, countless singles and collaborations, Eli's voice and production are widely recognized. I've known Eli for a number of years now, and it's always an absolute blast to hang out and chat together. After a warm introduction to his beautiful home, we sat down for a fascinating conversation. Who's Eli? Who's Eli Schwebel? Who are you?
Well, that's a big question, because I'll tell you who I am. Who I am is what I am.
Okay.
And what I am is someone who cares about everything that I do. 1,000%. More than I even want to. It's like I love and I'm dedicated to everything that I do. And I'm blessed to have that and cursed to have that. But it's both. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So
where does that quality come from? Is that something you were taught?
Well, I think it's probably my parents are very, very powerful people, both of them. My father, in his way, my father's like a lion, because, you know, he's kind of like chilling out, and then when he gets up to sing, he roars, and he goes back. He's like a lion. But my mother is a powerhouse, and my grandfather, Papa Wassner, Joe Wassner, was an absolute powerhouse. He was an amazing personality, and he helped out a lot of people. And there's stories about him with Rebbes and this and that, and he was an Askin. He was somebody that. But my mother is where I get this passion for life. My father's more on like the reserved passion, but still a passion. I met him once.
He's really sweet. Let's go back to the beginning and tell me where you grew up, a little bit about your childhood, and any musical memories you have or things that stick out to you when you think back.
Sure. So I grew up in Flatbush. I grew up on East 9th between J and K. We were the only Ashkenazi family on an SY block. How you doing? Ike, what's doing? That's where I grew up.
Right.
But we had there were 10 from families, Ashkenazi families in the neighborhood, and 15 of us, and we were very, very close, very tight-knit community. And my two of my three best friends growing up, since I'm 4 years old, are Gadi Fuchs, Ari Zucker, and Matisyahu. And since I'm 5 years old, we're singing together.
Wow.
I'm just saying that's.
I had no idea you guys knew each other that long.
Since we're best friends since we're 4, all of us. So so I grew up. My father and my mother. My mother a musician. My father a musician. Obviously, my father's Rivie Schwebel from the band Dveikos, sure. And he grew up around the rabbi's sons and all that chevra, Abie Rotenburg, Eli Kranzler, Yossi Sonnenblick, and all of that chevra. And, my grandfather, his father, Zaidi Schwebel, who I used to call my Alice, my everything, because if you ask me who a tzaddik was, you didn't take me to Rosh Yeshiva, no Rebbe, I didn't need it. I had Zaidi Schwebel. And when he davened for the Amud, it's one of the highest experiences of my life. Being able to be next to him. I led the choir for him. I grew up 3 years old watching Zaidi Schwebel and him davening, and my father and his 2 brothers around him. And then we all grew up, and as we grew up, all the Schwebels, we would stand around Zaidi Schwebel.
It's like a real musical kingdom.
It's really beautiful.
Dynasty, or dynasty, as you would say.
Dynasty.
Yeah.
I love that Manchester Mancunian month. How's it? Months. 6 months. Month.
Wow. Okay.
So I grew up in Flatbush. I grew up around music my whole life from both sides. My grandmother, Mama Wassner, sang with Richard Tucker.
Wow.
She is a mezzo-soprano. She's a mezzo-soprano, and she is where my musical ears come from. My mother's mother, her ear, we sigh at the same chords. At the same progression. When it hits, we go, or we go, when you were playing before, I was like, you know what I'm saying? And that's the truth. My heart, my musical heart, I see it in the blood, like it's the genes. I see it coming down clearly. Like it's just crazy how you could see from my grandmother that and my mother, and we go, but you wouldn't necessarily do that, but my father wouldn't do that, but my father, I'd have certain things with my father. First of all, I learned how to sing from my father, like that vocal. Anyway.
When you say you learned, did he like actively teach you? Or you're just saying you listened to him and
never. We found out as we got older, my father and I, that we may have been singing wrong.
You're saying technique-wise?
Technique, right. So my father started taking voice lessons about 5 or 10 years ago, and he is in the absolute best shape of his life. He's getting better and better.
That's
and it's
crazy.
It's crazy to see. It's like it's like he's a real tenor. He's like a rich, huge tenor. Like he's one of the three. He's the fourth tenor. I'm saying, like, he's that big. He's unbelievable. Yeah, and growing up around music like this, I realize how important it is to have this when you're a child.
Sure.
I see it. If you don't have it when you're growing up, I had it growing up. I was so lucky. Like,
what do you think it does for a kid to be surrounded by that?
I'll put you this way. When I was sick, I would sit down by the piano for 2 hours and I was better. Wow. I was actually physically sick. I would sit there. I think music for anyone is like it's something that's right in front of your face, but it's like it's being hidden by society. It's like other things are more important than this. And they are. And
you're saying it's not given enough importance.
No, it's not given the respect and the awe of what it is. It's so powerful and it's so beautiful.
It's like full power isn't recognized.
Yeah, and it's not given as much, like, realize what this is. It's tefilah. I'm saying, for me, it's like straight up tefilah. It's like, if we don't know how to daven today, let's say, which we really don't, right? I'm saying we're trying to figure it out. I actually work on something with my Rabbi, Rav Daniel Cohn. Yeah. I told you about that at all?
Did you guys used to do Instagram lives?
We used to do Instagram lives.
Yeah.
So my Rabbi, I'm trying to go through. It's actually a sefer that he just came out with, like, last week, on the Siddur. This is a sefer. It's called Book of Yearning. Okay. And my Rebbe spent 25 years developing this. And I've been trying to understand tefilah. For me, music, shira is gematria tefilah.
Did not know that.
You didn't know that?
Did not know that.
Shira is gematria tefilah. You want to talk about music? I'll talk to you about music. My Rebbe is a world-class clarinetist. I believe in order to understand, why don't we have Rashi and Tosfos around music, around tefilah? I want Rashi and Tosfos, right? I want Rishonim, I want Achronim around tefilah. I want to talk about it like we're talking to God, about God, to God. I love this. This is, to me, like, we're in the craziest experience. Like, you know what I mean?
We've kind of got to this place where on a day-to-day, it's like, okay, you run somewhere for 35 minutes exactly and mumble, jumble, with no consciousness of or awareness of, like, what you're even saying, and then you run out to grab the cornflakes, you know?
Exactly, and it's called Psuke de
Zimra.
We don't sing it. Psuke de Zimra. We don't sing it. Isn't that crazy? You ever think about that?
Yeah.
And it's crazy.
So I heard once someone call it, I don't remember who, I have to credit them afterwards, but Psuke de mumbling.
Psuke de mumble. Psuke de mumble.
And I mean, what's also crazy is that, like, I mean, the whole idea of the Beis HaMikdash and the Levium, I mean, if that's where davening comes from, then why aren't we like...
So I think Shlomo Carlebach really, really opened up the door for us in a way that I don't think Chazanos is really able to take us there. And the real person who brought us there, though, really was probably Mordechai Ben David. Because
who brought us where?
To a place where we can sing tefilah in a way that feels natural within the zeitgeist. So the same way, Thank You Hashem does music, takes an idea, sings it, like it's, you can take anything today and make a song out of it. It's no problem. Back in the day, you could not do that. When my father was making music with Dvekas, Rabbi sons were completely against, they were lambasted for doing what they did.
Right.
You understand?
You're saying there were only like very specific things you were allowed to sing about, or
right. And I think that Mordechai, as I was once sitting with Mordechai on Shavuos I'll never forget this, in Nachlaot. And we were talking about him and his impact. And he was like, well, he was trying to understand within himself. He's like, Eli, what do you think it was? And I said, I think it was, you were the first one to do, the song was, Oid Yeshvon. Oh my gosh, I love that. Da 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 da. Right? Gorgeous, right?
That's Yossi, yeah.
Yossi, oh my God, Yossi Green, 1,100 songs recorded. Greatest songwriter in Jewish history. Yossi, I love you. I said, Mordechai said, no, this is how it goes. Oid Yeshvon. Zikenim muskenois, biyircho yevois Yerushalayim. And he said, no, this is the way I'm doing it. And he took chazonos, pop music, and personal expression, and he brought that together. I think he's the first. Shlomo Carlebach did that as well in his way, but to be able to create pop music, legit pop music of today, taking Mordechai Ben David was the first to do that. And I think that opened up a lot of capabilities for everyone to just sing what's in their hearts. And I don't think we had that really, before like Rabbi Sons, Dvekas, Mordechai Ben David, and Shlomo Carlebach.
It's interesting what you just said about to enable people to sing what's in their hearts, which is obviously to some degree correct. At the same time, do you not feel like in the in the religious world there are still very much limitations on what you can and can't sing about?
Well, I think
I'll even rephrase that. How many people today do you think are truly writing authentic songs? And when I say authentic songs, either that they're taking a pasuk that they truly connect with and is very real for them, or are writing original lyrics about personal experience, versus people who are like, I want to make music, but there's these rules, and the rules say I'm going to open a book, pick a page, and...
You're talking to the right guy here, bro. You're talking to the right man. I do think that we as a society are focused on the klal. And I want to tell you something. I switched my tune around this ever since I was in Eretz Yisrael. I spent 4 months in Eretz Yisrael on the front lines at 38 bases performing since October 7th. I had a concert October 3rd, October 4th, and October 5th. And October 7th, my family ran back and I stayed in Eretz Yisrael for 4 months. And I did not care about me. I did not play my music. I did not care about any of my things. I was like, what is going to make you happy? And I started singing all the songs of, mostly non-religious soldiers, like 90%, 95%. And I sang their music with all of those guys from Shotei Nuvuai, and I sang with, and the Solomon Brothers. We went around singing. Nachman was teaching me all this other music, right. all the Israeli music, and I was playing with Yehuda, and it was with Laser Lloyd. I mean, we were having a blast. Laser's a monster. He's unreal. But I saw that there is something to not inward focused music only, and I listen. I would scream against this idea for my whole life. But then I saw October 7th, it changed me, because I saw that when there's a real place for we, and I do write music about we, and I write it from a personal space, but there's also a capacity for just we. And the klal, being focused just on the klal, when you get out of this, all of that, sometimes, right? That's a hard place to go. And it's not that it's also sometimes not healthy. Maybe it's unhealthy to write maybe I shouldn't be talking about all the problems. Thank You Hashem knows, okay? The Bloomsteins know. And my brother-in-law, Yankee Blobstein knows. Okay, you look at these guys, they're happy. Leonard Cohen's my Rebbe, and Abie is also, but why? Maybe I'm doing it wrong, and I'm open to being wrong about music, that maybe music is just an amplifier of an emotion and a way to tell that story of that emotion. And maybe we find it hard to sometimes, when we broadcast our emotions, it's kind of like if you go step over the line, it's like, ooh, what'd you do, right? So where's that? We know there's a line. Okay, sure. So we're storytelling, right? We're telling a story. Oh, okay. So we have to tell this personal story. But how personal? How personal is too personal? Where's that line?
Everyone has a line of comfort what they're willing to share.
Right. So what do you think? Okay, I'm not asking the questions, you're asking the question. But what do you think is a line that's acceptable for what would be considered authentic music? Because I'm starting to realize
You're saying this, even people who are writing personal songs, what's the authenticity factor that says that they're singing like they're bearing their
right,
heart, but are they really?
But are they really?
Right,
because when I get down to the writing, anytime there's a rewrite, you're taking a song, you rewrite the song. Oh, I don't this lyric, that right? So 1 second. If I'm rewriting the song, so what does authenticity mean anyway after that? Right. And it's like I started exploring this idea because I think October 7th just shot me between the eyes about me and music and me and me and me and me. Like me, my music. Like, who cares about my music, right? Nobody cares. I don't care.
Right now,
even.
Everyone just wants to sing Am Yisrael Chai.
Am Yisrael Chai.
Right.
It's about us.
Achenu.
Right. I'm sitting there singing the songs I grew up with, right? And the songs I grew up with were not about Abie's personal life. They weren't about his person. They were a tefilah. And I'm starting to realize that the more I spend time out of me in music and just being kind of like a conduit and not investing in how me this is and how personal it is, I'm starting to see that I'm starting to move up. I'm not saying I'm not off the train. I'm starting to move a little bit and say, okay, there is a place for, am I doing this for me to get my emotions off my chest, or am I trying to tell a story that means something to me? Write a story. I love this story. It's about me, but it's about you. It's about everyone. And that's the way I write, but it has to be rooted in me.
When you kind of had this shift or realization after October 7th, did you feel a sense of relief?
Yes.
Can you tell me about that?
Oh my God. I was so invested in my album and my music, and I was so verkauft with it. I was just busy like this and nervous and how is it coming out? And I just Gotti and Ari called me up and said, Eli, we want to do a song with Mordechai Shapiro loves the song. He wants to do it with us. And Eli, can we do it? I have my album. I've got 7 songs to do. And I'm like, guys, sure. It's called Geula. I'm like, okay, so I'm going to release a song that's about me. Who cares about me bearing my? I don't care about me bearing my soul. What do I care? Well, look what's going on in the world. Who cares, right?
Right.
We don't. I think that this personal music has a place when people are comfortable. When everything's good and people have more time to go inside themselves and be all messed up, there's more place for it. And we always need.
You're saying
it.
it's almost more of a self-work exercise to kind of. Which
I think it gives people. Listen, it gives people hope when they're alone.
I think also for a lot of people, even though these personal songs about whatever it is are written by one person, I think there's always the hope that someone will hear it and be like, "Oh my gosh, thank God there's someone else out there who I really relate to that."
That's exactly what you just said. And the emails that I get and the people that come over to me, a lot of them are they're just alone with what they're going through. And this song, somehow, this guy, this voice,
Right.
This voice, it's over here actually, because it comes out. The voice goes out. It comes rings, and it goes. You go. This guy, this voice, and that song, and that arrangement, and the stuff that I care about and love. And I think it's what it is. Music is about sharing what I love.
Right.
I share something that I love, and whether you like it or not, and Abie, we say this all the time. Abie says, "I don't care. I don't care. I don't care if you like it. I'm doing it because I love it,
and
that's all that counts."
It's worked for him.
He's my Rebbe. He's my Rebbe. I mean, is he your Rebbe too?
What's that?
He's your Rebbe also.
He is. I want to get to Abie in 1 second. It was funny. I was just kind of like thinking about the idea of, we music and I music, and I guess they both have different qualities. I music, I think when it resonates with someone else, that can be so powerful for them. And then we music, it's powerful in a different way. Like it unites people, almost all the people. If you sing a song like Achenu, that includes everyone, whether they relate to a specific experience you had or not. It's like they're like two powers that they each have, and I guess there's a time and place for both.
Right.
That's the
right, and that's I thought there was never a place for that. I was like, because I'm like I guess I'm a purist. Right. I want to call myself a purist, but really I'm just being a fundamentalist because I care. I love it so much. Like I was talking to it's a couple of guys I'm working with, and like, I have to understand it. When I come out strong about something, and when I say it like this, it's out of love and passion. Sure. It's never ever about like I'm trying to assert like this is the only way. It's like I just love this so much, and I see something beautiful, and I want to share that beauty.
Sure.
And I see greatness also. Like in you, when I speak to you about your piano, and you get all all mushy inside. It's because I'm showing you your greatness, and it's very hard to see your own greatness.
Sure.
When I'm fully present for the greatness, it gets received. It's a two-way street.
Right.
It's it's invisible, but you receive my reception of it. It goes back to you, and that experience is what allows you to grow even more and to get to grow.
What's funny actually is while I was playing at one point, I think I heard a sniff in the background, and I was like, he's not crying, is he?
I was.
And then something about that realization made me get even more into the moment and be like, if Ellie's
oh my God.
If Ellie's that present right now,
I was so present, bro. I was like this. If you went, there was like someone was taking a photo. I was like this. I was like this. Yeah, they did. I think they did. I was like really, really moved. I was like the way, that's like something that I'd love to work with you on, because I'd love to like try to figure out a way to tell that story, your piano story, in a way that takes the piano and utilizes some of your moves. You see, some of your moves. If I take that and I slowed that down by like a quarter, we would hear some melodies that are gorgeous, right? I would take it and just slow it down 25, and to somehow like write melodies and counter melodies around what you're doing. It's so gorgeous. And the touch, it's like, it's beautiful.
While you were just discussing this idea of you telling people, like giving your opinion because you're so passionate, it reminded me actually of a story with us, which I think it was, I recorded a solo piano album, a Chabad album.
Yeah. I feel bad now.
No, not at all. Not at all. It's a great story. And and towards the end, I think I had like 20 minutes left, and I remember just, the whole album was improvised, but I was like, okay, there's one more song I'm going to do. And I was definitely nowhere near as in the zone for that one, and it was more just like of a, fingers flying everywhere, and which maybe on like a technical, visual, superficial level is more impressive, but definitely didn't have as much heart and soul as the rest of it. And when we were I put together a few little promo clips from it. We sent them out on WhatsApp when the album came out. And when I remember when that one went out, you replied to me. I think you said something along the lines of, I don't know if it was I thought more of you or you could do better or something like that. That was.
I know, I feel so bad.
And what was crazy is when you said it, the reason it like hit me really hard is because I was like, I feel exactly the same way. I was like, I almost like shouldn't have put that out because it wasn't like a true representation of what the album was or who I am or anything. It was purely like, hold on a second, how do I somehow commercialize this so that more people are like, hey, he's a good piano player, let me go and click on the link. It was, and again, maybe there is a sense of like any promotion of anything that like, you got to sneak in a little bit of commercial or I don't want to say lack of authenticity, but like, I was like, that hurts because it's true.
I remember you told me, I felt so bad afterwards because you were like, you were hurt.
I explained why I did it and you were like, I get it, but still, you know.
And I was like, you really did. I'm like, dude, I was like, I don't care. You're better than that.
Yeah,
like,
that was it.
I was like, you're better than that. You are better than that. Like, you're much better. And
but I also,
I shouldn't have said it. I felt bad afterwards. I was like, I shouldn't have said that. Because,
I don't think so. Here's the deal. Here's the deal, right? This just reminds me of one more story, and then you need to talk for the rest of the time.
No, we don't. No, this is great. I don't need to talk at all. I'm
Ellie,
happy.
listen to this.
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So when me and Struddy, we did a cover of Brothers in Arms by Dire Straits.
Mm-hmm.
And it did very well online on Facebook, and we put it on YouTube, and it got a lot of views. And it ended up on the official Dire Straits fan page, which I think had like 400,000 followers or something. And there were a lot of people who loved it, and there were a lot of people who tore us to shreds. And, you know, like all the, why would you even try, and blah, blah, blah. You know, the internet's horrible sometimes. And I remember my mum being so upset that people could talk about sons this way. So I remember saying that, like, you know, Mum, if the only feedback we're getting on our stuff is nice and it's compliments and it's basically all of your friends, you know, who you're forwarded it to, and our network of people who already know us and see it, we haven't achieved anything. We haven't, you don't want to just be told, hey, that's amazing, you're great. Of course, as you said before, it's nice when someone else points out your greatness to you. But at the same time, you can't grow if you're just focused on, like, you know, people are like, hey, can I play you a song? And you know, before they hit play, like, they're expecting you to say it was great, whether it was or it wasn't. Which is why I very rarely will say to someone, yeah, sure, let me check out the song. Because it's hard for me to then tell them that I don't like it if I don't, and lying about it. As life goes on.
You know what I do?
Yeah.
Why do you want me to listen to the song? That's what I ask.
Interesting.
What do you want?
What specific feedback?
What exactly do you want?
Right.
Why are you sending me the song? I can see it when it goes out. They're like, yeah, sure, I'll listen to it when I have a chance. Like, What do you want from me? I want your opinion. Why?
All right. Do you want validation?
You want you're looking for me to validate you?
Yeah.
I don't do that. It's not what unless you really need the validation and I will do that. I will sit down. I'll be like, okay, if I'm trying to help out a friend and they're just starting out and they just need some chizuk, sure. But if you're somebody that's like, if you're somebody that's doing your thing, and if you're calling me, you're going to get it straight. You're going to get it so straight because I want you to grow. Because the only way that we grow is when people say, "Hey, man, you see that right there? You could do it." And I love it when I get critiqued. I'm like, "Oh yeah, baby." Like I'm working with Mordy Shapiro. Mordy, first of all, Mordy, most underrated talent in Jewish music. Most underrated talent. That's how good he is as a phenomenal musician. Like his ears are next. He's a phenomenal ear. Very musical guy. He's underrated in that way.
I think when you say underrated, it's also because you have to kind of be involved in music to appreciate a lot of when most people see a singer like a great voice, they don't think about
the music, the whole back.
You have to spend time with someone in a studio or something to really like.
You know, I spent a lot of time with him, but being around him, like the way he hits a note, his vocal, I was like, whew, Schwebel, you have work to do, man. Look at this guy. Yeah. And being around him, I upped my game. Like amazing. I took the way I hit every note. I was like watching him hit his notes, the way he approached it. Like he comes in like an athlete. Like he's like, he's like, all right. He's got this Eli Manning thing going, all right. And then he hits the mic and he's like, but the way he gets, he's like a Ferrari. He goes, he's a Ferrari.
I actually saw him live last night.
Where?
Yeah, I happened to be in Long Branch,
New Jersey.
Yeah, my brother-in-law was doing the production, and he was like, "Hey, I'm at work. If it was like 10 minutes away." So we went to see him, and he's just as good live. It's great.
It's crazy. Yeah, he's amazing. But my point is that when the things that I have to work on, if I'm around people that are doing it at the highest level, and I think he's really doing what he does in his type of vocal approach. He's doing it at a really high level. Learning, being around that, listening to it, and learning and watching technique, watching how the approach works, made me up my game and my own approach myself differently. And it's like a little bit like being around the people who are doing things that are great, doing amazing work. That's how I grew, always. Right. Just being around those people, watching them, and like a Rebbe, seriously, just like a Rebbe, like you're supposed to be around the Rebbe, mishamish the Rebbe, like that type of thing. There's the whole point of that is that's how you grow. I mean, that's how we learn,
Yeah, I think if you can, if you're able to remove ego, then critique is basically like a to-do list for becoming better.
That's right. It's like, yes, thank you. Oh, really?
Let me add that to my list, and the next time I produce a song, I'll, maybe have less elements, or I don't know.
I was just on the phone with Abie. He was driving back from a gig that he did with my father in Montreal. He was driving to Toronto, so he had a whole. So, when he's driving, I'm on the phone with him for like an hour. Like he just goes. He loves to drive. He only drives. He doesn't fly. He drives.
Oh, no way.
Drives everywhere, and I was talking to him, and we were talking about how, Eli, it's all about the vocal in the end. And, the arrangements are just because I love the production.
Sure.
And I'm like, he's like basically telling me like, enough with the production, Eli. Like, I know that you're kept, and I'm like, guilty. I am guilty of loving the amount of elements happening at the same time and stripping it down. It's a process for me.
Sure.
He said, Eli, me too. But I said, we were talking about how it's funny you mentioned overproducing, like less elements. And I told Abie, I said, Abie, when's the last time? Because he's been doing productions with like strings and lamb and this and that. And Abie plays guitar. That's how he grew up, playing guitar.
No way.
I said, he wrote that part.
No.
A lot of the original Dveka stuff, he's the one who built those parts. And I'm like, Abie, it's time for you to start getting back into the arrangements. Eli, you're right.
So throw away a piano.
Pick up the guitar. And I'm like, pick up the guitar. So pick up the guitar. I said, it's time for you to, he said, Eli, let's go on tour together. And I was like, Abie, I'm playing piano also. Like, enough. Like, you pick up the guitar. Get back on guitar, Abes. Anyway, so my point is that you're 100% right about overproducing, but you weren't even talking about that, but now I picked up on that. And Kenny, let's go back to the conversation.
That's fine. We're gonna go back to the conversation in a minute, but before we do, can you tell me more about Abie and why he is such an important part of your life?
Well, Abie, my father, I grew up as my father being this larger than life vocal and figure in the music community. My father was, like there's a music business, right?
Sure.
And there are people that did music for the business, that were in business. That's how they made their living. That's how they paid their bills. And there were people that did music because they loved it and they had other jobs, right? My father never did music, never took $1 for music, to the point where I didn't, I had a hard time taking money from music until I was like 30.
Something you weren't used to seeing.
I wouldn't do it. Yeah, my father's like, we don't do business with music. Music is Halik. Music is Halik only. but my father's music, Dvekus, I mean, Abie was like an uncle to me. Like, and his music was so, it just hit me right between the eyes and right in the heart. Like, my father's voice being all a part of this. We all grew up on Abie. Like, Abie's, it's like, so, and just having access to him and watching him and being and seeing, getting to know him and having him, like he told my father when I was a little kid, he's like, he's got it. When I was a kid, like a little kid, he told my father, he said, that kid has it. He's got it.
Wow.
And I just sit there and I would listen to his music, play his music over and over again, and just, it's my father. That's the guy who's singing. It's my daddy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the guy whose music that I just love, even if I wasn't. Like me and Gotti and Ari and all of us, Mati, and we all grew up, we loved Dvekus. We loved Journeys. We loved it. I'm sure you did too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's my
huge
father.
part of our childhood.
So get my father and Abie, and Abie.
There's only a few things that we were like, I think even allowed to listen to, or like, we had like a pretty long ride to school, and our mum would put on, it was like Dvekus, Yosef Kaduna, Neshama Kalbach. I want to jump back.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So at some point in your either childhood or your teenage years, you, I'm assuming, decided, hey, I'm gonna do what my dad does. I'm gonna make this a real thing. When did that happen?
I was very shy. I was very scared to sing because my father. Who am I to open my mouth and sing when my father is Rivie Schwebel?
Yeah, I would.
How am I going to ever compare to my father? Not only that, how am I? Who's gonna like? I was scared. Like in camp, I was scared to sing solo. I never sang a solo in camp. I always did harmony, always.
Wow.
High harmony. That's what I did. Ellie sing. No. I did play keyboard. I played piano. I played keyboard in camp, and I did that type of stuff. When I was 18, my father took me to the studio with Abie, and it was Lev Nefesh 2. And my father sat down, and Abie said to me, Eli, go sing harmony on this album.
Wow.
Lev Nefesh 2. And I said, really? And I was there with my father in the studio. And he said, yeah. And I went to sing on the album. And I was like, oh, like I can sing on an album, right? And my friends and I, growing up, we just always loved singing together. And our dream, we were kids, we wanted to be Dvekus Jr. Mm-hmm. That was like little kids, we're going to be Dvekus Jr. And then in Eretz Yisrael, we were in yeshiva, and we would sing together all the time, Shabbos tables, and we would get booked out.
Wow.
People would book us out.
What kind of like Shabbos Acappella gigs or?
Not gigs.
Oh, okay.
We would just go to people for Shabbos and we would sing, and people just wanted us to come for Shabbos. They would call us from all over. Could you come to us for Shabbos? And we're like we would go like, okay, so she's got the best challah. Like, I'm not joking. Abie Muller, I'll never forget that challah from Abie Muller's wife. Abie Muller's wife made a challah. We would go for that challah. I'm telling you, we would sit around, we'd sing our brains out for that challah. You know what I'm saying? That challah. In somewhere in, I don't even know. But my point is that we spent so much time singing together and loved it so much. My father had invested in a studio in Eretz Yisrael called Creative. No, come on, I'm losing my mind right now. Creative Audio, Jeff Horowitz, in Merkaz Sapir Binyan Shtayim, in Gavat Shaul, and on the fourth floor, right? And I said, Dad, can I go and record there? I want to try. We went to the studio, me, Gotti, Ari, Mati, and we just sang together, did some harmonies together. We heard it back, and it was like, oh, that sounds good. That sounds good. Wow, like this really sounds good. Guys, this is possible. This is possible. Anyway, that night, Mati one of our best friends, 4 of us, his father had a heart problem, and his father went into a coma. And that year, I think it was January, he was nifter. I was in Mir, Yerushalayim. And that was a very big moment for me personally. One of my best friend's father was nifter. It completely it shifted a lot for me. Just about life and death. It was it was a moment that's like a existential moment for me. Anyway, I came home from Mir. We went to be with Mati and Ari, and we realized Mati is an Avo. And he can't listen to music. So why don't we do something that he can be involved in?
Oh, no way.
So I have a great idea. We sing acapella. Let's do an acapella album.
That's how it happened.
That's how Lev Tahor started. So
Wow.
we wanted to do something that Mati could be involved in. And we started, and my father said, Daddy, can you help us? Who should we talk to? Which studio should we go to? And he set us up with this guy and with that guy. And we just went and gave it all we got. And we sold 75,000 records.
Wow.
All I'm saying over the next, whatever it was,
Wow.
when all the Lev Tahor albums, I'm saying that we sold on that album probably 25,000 records.
That's like a defining album of my childhood.
Wow.
I think I was probably 12 or 13, and it was around then. It's funny because you were just talking about when Abie asked you to sing harmonies in the studio, and the first thing that made me think of was the first time I heard The Man from Vilna, which
you played before. I was bawling.
Which on its own, it's an unbelievable song. But I distinctly remember as a kid hearing the final choruses when all these backing vocals come in, and just thinking to myself, what is that? What is that? And why does it feel so good? And why does it sound so good? And then kind of having the same feeling listening to the Lev Tahor thing, because at that age, I'd only heard Jewish music of one form or another, and that harmony, that those vocals, I'd never heard anything like it before. It's pretty crazy. And I think what's amazing is how well it did being an a cappella album. And well, I guess it was probably one of the first, right?
So there was bitachon at one point, but we were the ones we would call ourselves who established kind of this idea. There was nobody in the Orthodox world. There was nobody.
Was there any other a cappella music that you? Sorry, not Jewish. Was there any
rockapella?
No, but outside of the Jewish world, was there a cappella music that you had heard that was like, hey, why don't we do a Jewish version of this? Or
rockapella? We did.
Oh,
Where in the world is Carmen San Diego?
Okay.
Remember that?
No.
Oh, damn it! You never heard it?
No.
Oh, you got it. Rockapella. We loved rock. So rockapella during Sphira, we couldn't listen to music.
Okay,
so what would we do? We would listen to acapella.
Okay.
So growing up, we'd find rockapella. We loved rockapella. So we said, why don't we do this and put it up? Why don't we do something like this? And that's what we do anyway. We're doing it our whole lives. So
how old were you when that album came out?
19.
How does that feel as a 19-year-old to have
I
an
didn't
album
care.
that
I didn't think.
75,000 records sold? You didn't
No. You're talking about now or 19?
No, back then when you were 19, there must have been a sense of oh my gosh, how did this just happen?
No, nothing. We did not. We were.
You played it cool.
No, I didn't play it cool. It's first of all, I was used, this was nothing, meaning it was great that I did it, but I grew up with my father. To me, it's I had this perspective of I was very proud of it, but it was a lot.
Did it not in some sense prove to you well, actually, hey, I am my own person and look what I can do?
No.
You still felt in the shadow of your dad?
That's right.
Do you still feel like that
Not
today?
at all. Not at all. My father is one of my heroes. He's my beloved. He's one of the loves of my life. One of the great loves. But my father is his own person. And it took us a long time to get to a place where I'm me and you're you, and that's cool.
When did that happen and how did it
it's
happen?
gradually over our whole lifetime. But it took me a long time to find my identity as far as like my own musical identity too. And I'm still enjoying that
The discovery.
The discovery,
Right.
totally. But to get past okay, you're going to sit at the piano, you're going to sing Dveka songs. I still get paid. They pay me a lot of money to sing those songs. That's what I get paid for, right? My own music, they love, but the people that love that music,
It's ironic because your dad didn't want to take money for doing it. So
Right,
like, what, Dad, I'll pick up the check.
Daddy, and I'm like, Daddy, you don't understand something. They pay a lot of money to have you sing. He's like, yeah. I'm like, Daddy, come on. But whatever, you know what I'm saying? But he doesn't. But no, I'm taking him around. I'm like, Dad, there's nothing wrong. My father's retired, so I'm like, there's nothing wrong with, like, Dad, let's go on tour. Let's do concerts. Let's do it right. Because my father loves to do this right with me. He loves, I sit there, I play. But my point is that to musical identity, to find that identity, which is what I was talking before about to Mimi, who was talking to me before about that song and just finding to be able to express myself. It was very scary to do that. I couldn't, I remember my grandmother, I showed it to my grandmother, who's also one of the great loves of my life, Mama Wassner. She said, how can you say this? How can you say this about you? How do you do it?
What are the lyrics?
One of the songs, it was Ani Yosef, or one of my deep songs. She's like, how do you bear yourself like this? It's so, it's unheard of from my world. Sure. No one's ever, I realized that afterwards. It's like, who's doing it?
It's an interesting exercise to do as a songwriter once in a while to say, actually, I'm going to write a song that sounds like it's, but I'm going to basically embody a completely different persona. I'm going to make up some guy or girl, and that's going to be me for this song. And then suddenly you're like, whoa, I can say anything. I can do anything. My friend, a friend of mine, he's a Jewish music, one of the guys in this. I don't like to reveal names when it comes to these type of things because I don't know but he calls me, he goes, Eli, I'm stuck. I'm like, he's like, I just finished. I've got a lot going on. It's all great. I'm doing things, but I'm stuck. I don't know. He's like, I don't know what to do. It's like, I'm just like, I'm like, what do you mean? Are you excited about what's happening? He goes, yeah, but I don't. I'm like, whatever. Okay. Musically, I just feel. I said, you're putting out your own music? He goes, yeah. I'm like, I said, I know. Remember, he told me you grew up on something else. You love that music. Yeah. I said, I have a great idea. Make up a new name. You're not who you are right now. Start a band for Spotify and make that music whatever you want, no limits. Let go completely with a new identity. And he said, Eli, I knew you were the guy to call. I knew you were the guy to call. He's like, this is what I'm doing. He's like, and he because we have to try on these different identities. This is not what we are taught in our world. This is completely against, which is what, by the way, is such an interesting thing on the left, on the left, when people talking about identities, which to you and I and to other people, it's just like, stop it already. Stop it with these identity things. There's something there. What is there, Eli Schwebel? Are you out of your mind? Well, maybe what we are missing is this ability to try a different part of ourselves, not a different person, but a different part of ourselves, and give that space to explore and express. Yeah. Let's see it. It's dangerous, very dangerous, because it's to people who are extremely, who rely on the safety of what we have. We do everything. It's very safe. Don't mess with it. Right. It's great. Do not mess with that. I think it's only when you're put to task and you need to do that. Like my friend called me. He's like, I'm stuck. Right. Give that a shot. I think that would help a lot of people in general. There's a lot of people going through stuff. I think an exercise such as this of trying out a different part of yourself completely, letting go of everything and just trying out this little thing that you don't want to admit that you like. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Or you're ashamed of. Well, I'll tell you something right now, which is that when you told me before, you were like, I was playing the piano and you were like, I'm going to get you a mic. I want you to sing as well. And there was a part of me that froze and was like, I'm not a singer. I don't sing. And then I was like, I'm not going to say that. I'm going to let him give me a mic, see how it goes. I like to sing. I don't consider myself a great vocalist, but who cares?
You could see me.
I want to.
We were talking before when you sang. I got when you sang that verse. I was just like, woof,
Oh, no way.
woof, yeah.
And
The chorus. I wanted a little bit less pushing.
Yeah.
You could
I
approach
also
it with
don't
more
have any
falsetto. You
technique,
could
yeah.
approach it with more the falsetto.
Sure.
Instead of pushing through the chest. You don't need to push through the chest. You have a beautiful. You can go up there with your falsetto, and you don't need to. I'd say go 20%, 50% of what you did,
Right.
but beautiful tone.
Thank you, first of all. The point is that like, that's a part of me that like for years, well, maybe my whole life, I've struggled with like, I've struggled with as part of my identity. It's like when people say, "Oh, do you sing or are you a musician?" I always like freeze at the question. I was like, I don't know, do it. Like, yeah, like sometimes I sing harmonies with my brother, but like I'm not a singer. But
You are a singer.
So, but it takes.
You're a singer. Is that?
But it takes.
You sing. I sing. I play piano. I produce. I act.
Right. So
you do a lot of things.
So the reason I got to this point is exactly what you were saying. Like, there are many parts of me, and what's actually great and what I love about my job is that depending on the day, there's another side of me that people get to see. Some days I'm a music video producer.
Yeah.
I produced the song the week before, and now I want to bring my entire vision to life. And I'm running around with a group of 30 people on the roof of a building in Williamsburg directing this music video. And that's me today. And you know what? And I used to have this like, whoa, 1 second. Are you a producer? Wait 1 second. Are you a piano player? It's like, I am all of me. And there's all these like bits and parts and, you know, so they're all part of this.
That's when you started asking me in the beginning, right? Heli, who are you? I said, I am somebody who loves and cares about all of these things.
Right.
And that's what I am.
Yeah.
Even not who, like I'm this body and like funnel of ideas and that come through me and somehow just make fingers do this and mouth do that and muscles do this and that's what I am. I'm some type of I don't know, some type of musical robot of God, musical God
scientist.
Robot. I don't even know, musical scientist. Yeah, I don't know.
Musical
like
robot,
I guess
robot scientist.
Robot scientist. Come on. Is there anything more enjoyable than just like finding a sound? It's like people ask me, Eli, can you teach my kid to play piano? I said, 1 second. I said, can the kid hear if I press a G and a D together? Does he hear that G and D? Does he understand those two notes together? What does that mean to him? If he's like, no, I just want him to go da da da. I said, okay, you do that. I want to talk to the kid who, when he does that, his eyes go like this. Yeah. Wow. I want to see the discovery. I want to see the person who understands the depth of what music is and the beauty of it. Yeah. And you know, why is it bother? This stuff means so much to me because it means so much to me. It's just what I love. I'm not saying everybody has to love it. I'm just saying I want to hang around people who do love it. That's it. You know, the aesthetics are for everyone. Some people like to paint. Some people like to eat. I have foodie friends of mine. You know what I found, by the way? Every artist I know that understands the aesthetic of music or the aesthetic of whatever it is always has an appreciation for all of it. There's always a crossover. Music, film, art, food, all the aesthetics, right? What you see, you hear, smell. Like, you know, it's like, you know, music is smell. Music is part of smell. It's air. Music is, you know, it's like, it's all connected to, you know, all the senses. When you're aware of the aesthetics and you appreciate the beauty and the wonder of the aesthetic, and it goes all over. So I hang out with people that really care about their aesthetic. Like one of my closest friends is a guy named well, I'm not going to say this. I feel bad to say, but he's a chef, crazy chef, unbelievable. He's also a musician. Now, what is food, and
Right.
that's
why
food for the soul.
When you
Soul
meet
food.
someone new and they say like, "What do you do?" and they kind of look, they need to like put it in I do the, I'm in finance, or I do the. I'm like, oh no, I do. Sit down. There's a long list of things that I do and I enjoy and I love, and it's like there isn't one.
Right. I usually, when people ask me that, like, what do I do?
It's like, do you mean who am I? Like,
You know what I ask? This is a great question. When you meet someone, the first thing, because this is what I really care about. What do you love? What do you love? Tell me what you love. What are you excited about?
Right. Don't tell me what you have.
I don't care about
what you
anything.
do 9 to 5
I don't
tomorrow.
what do you love to do? What's your favorite thing in the world? What are you doing right now? What are you working on that you're pumped about? If you can't tell me that, if you're not holding in that conversation, I'm not interested. I just don't want to talk to you. I've got nothing to talk to you about. I've got nothing to say to you. Like, you're not interested. You're not excited about anything right now? That means you're not like curious. Like the curiosity of the wonder of being alive is so beyond reality. It's so crazy to think about that you have to be brave to think about that, because the second you say that, you're in trouble, boy, because you have now opened the door to what's a yeshivish word for Pandora? We would call it PARDES.
Okay.
That means if you see under the veil of PARDES, Pshat, Remez, Drush, Soid, they said there was only a couple of people who came back.
Can you break down what that is for me?
Well, Pshat, okay, this is great, because songwriting, I have this concept of Pshat, Remez, Drush, and Soid. So Pshat is
Sorry, Eli, can you break it down again, but as if there's someone on the other side of the camera that has no idea what these things are, like translate everything.
Okay, so when I have a song, we talked about Torah, right? Mm-hmm. But when I say something, or when you read something, you can read this and listen to this on many different levels. So in Torah we have 4 levels, which is when I read a pasuk, there's a pasuk pshat, and God said to Moshe, this, right? Avram, go kill your son. Put him on the altar and kill him. Okay. Okay, that's what he said. Okay. It says that. It did not say that. That's what it said.
Right.
Okay, that's pshat.
But what does it mean?
So the drush is, okay, the remez is, I don't know how I would define remez with that, but we would say that there's...
Symbolism?
It's symbolism. The drush is, what stories can we tell based on this idea? And the side is, what's it really doing for you spiritually? What's
like the core lesson?
What's the core, not even lesson, what's the core experience? The side is, what's the spiritual experience of these ideas and these words?
Right.
Remez, drush is more like, what can we expound from this? And the side is like, oh my, it's the knowledge of this experience. And it's how it flows through you, and in your embodied, this fully embodied experience of a song would be, the side of a song would be when a song hits you, like like Abie's got the side for Ani Maman. There's no arguments. Like, that song is side. Abie does side. That's what he does. He also does drash. He does drash. His drash is Man from Vilna. His remez would be something like I don't know. We'd have to figure out how remez fits in. I don't know yet. How would you define remez? Like, it's merames. Like in Torah, what's remez in Torah? What is that? Can we Wikipedia?
Not symbol.
How would you define the remez when it comes to PARDES? Within PARDES, what's Joe Rogan's guy's name? Hey, it's good to know this stuff.
You want a definition?
No.
Allegorical or hinted meaning or reading between the lines.
Reading between the lines.
Right. So there's a line reading between the lines. Okay, it's the allegory. So how would you define an allegory? You give an example of the allegory in Torah. Like what would you say is an allegory? Like
you can say like the fruit from the Eitz Hadas is an allegory to knowledge.
Right. So it's not at all. It's dealing within the pshat.
Mm-hmm.
The pshat is there's an allegory, so it's still dealing with it's still dealing within the pshat. Jamie, right? So Jamie is now Mimi. Mimi. Yeah. So my point is that around Pardes, we were talking about Pardes, and we were saying you were saying something. I don't know. You were saying what were you saying? I don't remember.
I don't remember how we got there.
We got there somehow. I forgot.
Well, you were talking about the Pardes of like music.
Right.
Yeah.
And Abie, right. So,
oh, right.
And you asked me about it. So, Eli, can you break down Pardes? And we were trying to understand what pshat is. Pshat is, what it is within that pshat. Like, what's the allegory within the pshat? The drush is how do we expound storytelling around that? My favorite drush, my favorite medrash, right, is when a Rabbi. This is an absolute game changer as far as my relationship with God. Completely changed when my Rebbe told me this. My Rebbe told me this about, 13 years ago. Or maybe less actually. He told me that Noach was friends with God. And that's like all right, but Avram was God's lover. Okay? And God is like a lover in the window asking you to pick up a candle and show him the way. You will guide God through the dark alleys of the night. What? Huh? That was Avram Avinu. One second. What does that mean? That means that you are the one that's responsible for taking care of God. What? Yes. What? You're going to show God how it goes. What does that even mean?
Right.
And that's very, very empowering and gives you a lot of responsibility too. Because you're like, wait a minute. Because I always said, think about this is such a crazy concept. If God could be mitzamtzim himself to become a king, and then a king, he could also be mitzamtzim to be a father. So one second, we stopped there for some reason.
Right.
One second. You're saying the creator of the cosmos, the unknowable, complete, just awesome, filled beyond any knowledge could ever. I just can't even wrap my head around. Decided to become a king for us because Ein Melech B'Layam. Not only that, he became our father also. You're saying he can't go any further down? You're saying so he can't also become your lover?
That's where he decided to let go.
That's where he decided to let go?
That's the limit.
But Noach was his friend. But Avram was his lover. And the Kruvim, that's what the Kruvim are. But we don't talk about this today. We don't talk about it. We just sing, Avaracham on Avinu. We missed the boat. It's like, it's God is right here. You get what I'm saying? Not Hashem love me up there. Yeah. But we're in this together, like a marriage, not a marriage, like a love, sure. More than a friend. Yeah. More than a friend, like a part of you. And I think that music, I was in yeshiva when I was in Long Beach. My father made a deal with the Rosh Yeshiva, the person who ran the yeshiva, that I'm going to send my son to Long Beach, which is an out-of-town yeshiva, only if he can play piano every day.
Wow.
And the Sharfs, Dudek Sharf in Long Beach had a house, and my father called up Dudek and said, can my son come over every day and play on your piano? And I would go during lunch, I would go for an hour every single day and play piano for an hour.
Wow.
And I would finish playing over there. I was in heaven. I would go back to yeshiva, and I would shtuch the guy up in learning. And I would win. I was a smart kid. Smart. I would win. And I would Schwebel. I'm saying what? Right? And I would win. And I would feel great that I won the argument. And the Reb Chaim, I figured out the Reb Chaim. And I said, I couldn't understand. I just came from an experience with God. How is it possible that God wants this, but that's not really God? And that's when I knew that approach to Torah can't be the emes. It can't. It has to be, there has to be another aspect to this Torah learning that I'm missing. Because it can't be that the intellectual games and cartwheels of winning an argument is what the experience of God in this world is, the experience of Torah is. It can't be. I knew it from an experience of music that it's impossible.
Right.
And I also, I saw in the Goya Sagra that the Goyen said that Roiv Soidus of Torah are hidden in music. That's from the Goya Sagra. That's from the Vilna Gaon. And we know, there's something we know as musicians. We know an experience of this universe that is a collective clarity of the connection of all of us in something beyond. That's what I think we have, that we're lucky that we can experience, that we talk about it. Like, why don't people see? Because they don't have that understanding. They didn't embody what we experience when we sit down and play a piano. They don't have that, the rush of through the blood rushing through your veins and your heart opening up and your tears welling up and your loss of self and your ego death and you're just becoming one with your piano. I mean, it's something that you can't expect anybody to understand. It's crazy, right?
Eli, let me ask you something. You ready?
Yeah.
What is Jewish music to you?
Tefilah. That's Jewish music. I used to think anybody who wrote a song that's Jewish is Jewish music. But then I realized that's music. Jewish music is something I feel is rooted in tefilah. That's what makes it Jewish. There has to be some aspect of that tefilah struggle, even if it's personal. But there's something about utilizing the identity of being a Jew to connect to whatever it is. So just because someone's Jewish and writes a song that's a song, to me, it doesn't make it Jewish music. When we define, there is no, here, let's put it this way. There's no such thing as Jewish music. That's the point. The point is there's no such thing as Jewish music. The only thing, there's music. What makes something Jewish is utilizing what we have, these talents, to engage with Jewish life, the Jewish experience. So most of the time, when we talk about the Jewish experience, we're not Manischewitz. I'm saying we're not like, that's
You're
not.
saying it's almost like food ingredients that everyone has access to, and it's about how you take them and make your dish.
Exactly. And it's like, yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's like my friend the chef. Like, it's like we have, now you either know how to cook, you know what I'm saying? Like, so what I call Jewish music, like kishka, or kugel. I mean, I wouldn't do that, right? Because there's something, when we talk about the ingredients for engaging with the soul, it's kind of like, it's beyond our ability to grasp and talk about in this way.
Sure.
But I think it's something that borders on tefilah and identity, which is what people have a hard time engaging with. The identity aspect. So the joke is, I'm the Manischewitz Jew, right? But then there's I'm a Jew who grew up here, who's like, I have a song coming out called Galizianer. And it's about me being a Galicianer. I'm a Galicianer. It's a part of me. My mama's a Bianer. My mother's a Bianer. The Nusach von der Tate. It's about my experience of being a Galicianer Jew. My parents from Gal. Oh, I'm celebrating that. And you know what I talk about? The Nusach von der Seide. And his Nusach. And there's something about my identity, personally, that's rooted in music, personally. And my way of expressing my identity about music is with music. It's like there's a meta thing happening here. It's just like rolling. But Jewish music for me is music that has been taken, and it's like they said, the marches from the Goyim, they were Makadish that. How were they Makadish? How did they do that? What do you mean? It's written by a Goy. No. They utilized it for tefilah. That's the point. For me, Jewish music is tefilah.
Right. Okay.
And I can also do a tefilah that's personal.
Sure.
I can do my own tefilah, but that's a tefilah. When I write a song, I always say it's tefilah. Tefillah's down. That's why I said, if you're going to make noise, get out of here. Like, leave. Like, I'm davening here. Like, we're davening together. Like, if somebody's like wants to schmooze, like, that's why we do the gigs. When we do the gigs with, like, I was talking to Abie about this. It's the worst. Like, I'm doing a show in Columbus, Ohio now. The guy calls me. He's like, okay, we have this dinner, this big thing. I said, listen, the concert, the food is on a separate room. Like, we got to give the people, the container, the ability to engage with what's happening.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? So it's the worst. I put on the stage with Abie, with people, with food and music. You know what? This is the idea I want to tell you. I came up with this idea. I think it's awesome. You're allowed to listen to music. Are you allowed to eat when you listen to music?
No.
It's asur halacha.
Oh, I didn't even realize you were asking halachically. I was just like, no, you've got to focus.
Right. Halacha is you're not allowed to listen to music when you eat, only at a sudas mitzvah.
Oh, wow.
And I came up with this idea. What's the pshat? Because music and food require full engagement. And the only way to truly experience music fully is if you're in that, on the level to experience it. The only way to get there is to be in a place where you're engaged, and that requires space and require. But when you're having a sudas mitzvah, you're already there. So I'm celebrating this aesthetic in that way. It's elevated, so I can have that elevate. Music is the elevated experience that requires. This is also can be an elevated experience when you take the food and you make that elevated experience. We can have that together. But each experience requires full engagement.
Sure.
And it's why you can't eat when you play. I mean, Yossi's people used to smoke. You put a thing, we thought it was the coolest thing.
Eli,
Yeah.
I'm trying to rack my brains and figure out what the last question would be. And instead, I want to propose the following, that right here, right now, while these cameras are rolling, we make a commitment to each other that we're going to do a part 2 of this. Because,
Dude, anytime you want.
Because we have to wrap this up, but I'm not done.
I'm not done either. I want to talk to you. I talk to you all the time. I'm just talking to you. You get what I'm saying?
I want a handshake that we're going to do this again.
I'm in, dude. Anytime. Come by. And
in the meantime, thank you so much for taking the time. This is a lot of fun, and
same.
Got to do this more.
Absolutely. And I have to say this because I love the Bloomstein boys, and I love my brother-in-law, and I love Gadi and all of the Mavak Shei Chevra. So I'm going to say thank you, Hashem, for being here.